Hey everyone, this is Coloring Chemist. My name is Connie, and welcome back to my channel. Different intro today, isn't it? I am sitting in my screen porch, and I am so happy to have this back. We used to have a screen porch on the front of the house until about 3 years ago, until we had to have some work done on the foundation, and the screen porch, which wasn't terribly well built to begin with, had to be torn down. And it's taken about 3 years, just through, well, you got to save for these things, right? But we finally got the screen porch rebuilt. So I'm just going to pan slowly, try not to make anyone sick. If we actually have a porch swing in the screen porch. And then we have just some patio or deck furniture we purchased. For those of you who have watched my channel and seen some of the little shorts that I did in the winter time, you might have recognized the view. Yeah, the outside deck still isn't done. Those long posts there are the railing posts, so we have to get that finished. But the view that you may have recognized at the beginning of this shot, that window right there is where my desk sits. And, you know, the pictures and videos that I had of birds and things in the wintertime were taken out through that window. But of course, this porch wasn't there. There was nothing out here. So now my window, I can still see outside because we have these windows across the front, but now I also have my screen porch. And this is central Canada, so for those of you that are familiar, summertime is buggy. It's so very buggy. And so I'm very glad to have this because we can sit out here, have the windows open, have a nice breeze going through, and I don't have to deal with the bugs. Just thought I'd film this little intro. I don't know what video I'll attach it to, but just so happy and thankful and lucky to have this lovely screen porch.
All right, another little segment here, maybe for a odds and ends video. This is the Arrtx website, so this is just arrtx.com, and I thought that I would show you guys this in case you, in case you weren't aware. I know a lot of people are, and rightly so, confused as to, you know, which colors are duplicated. You can see there's the new 120 anime color. So confused which colors are duplicated between sets, you know, what set contains the entirety of another set, etc. And I discovered this on Arrtx a while ago. I might even have mentioned it in a video previously, but I thought, well, I'll film a little segment here and I'll stick it in odds and ends video. So if you see right here where it says resources, and I hover over that, and then a drop-down menu appears. Then I go over here to the left-hand side where it says color system. See where it says color system and color charts. Color charts is actually, I'll click on that one first. That's just blank swatch charts. And you can download them. I think they're PDFs, and then color them in. So it's kind of nice. It's got all the color numbers already on there. But to figure out what colors are in what sets and which colors duplicate, click on color system. Scroll down. Can you see this now? So here's the 120. They're calling it 120A. Is there another 120 set coming out? I don't know. But if I click on it, you can see it comes up as a bigger, and you can download this as well, or you can just click on it. So it gives you all of the colors in the 120 set with their color numbers. And then it tells you, say you want to compare the 120 set to the 60 regular colors, which is this red, blue, and yellow box. The colors that are the same between the 120 set and that 60 set are listed right there. Can you see it where it says same? Here, I can even click and make it slightly bigger. So you can see where it says same. So 00, which is white, same. CO2, same. O3, same. colors that are different, so that are in this 60, did they call it 60A? Maybe they called it 60A. Anyway, this one that was the red, blue, and yellow box lid. These colors down here are different and are not in the 120 set. Same thing here. So this was the 60 anime colors. I think they called this 60B maybe? I can't remember which one was A and which one was B. But again, the colors that are the same in the 60 anime set and the 120 set. So this isn't comparing the 60 to the 60. This is comparing both of these 60s to the 120. But you'll see in a sec, there's a whole bunch of these charts. And then colors that are different between the 60 anime and the 120 are listed where it says different. See that? So here's a chart with that 90 set. Ooh, that got really big. Can we go back? There we go. So here's the colors that are in the 90 set. Here it's comparing to the 36 color set. This was a 48 color set. And then the 260 sets, again, colors that are same between each of these listed down here and the main set they're talking about, and colors that are different. So it still can be a little tricky, you know. They tend, so here's another chart. So here's the 48 set compared to the 30 A and B, the 36, the 260s. So you kind of have to go back and forth. You can download them all. I think if you click download, you download them as, I can't remember if they're PDFs or JPEG, like picture files, but, and then, yeah, there's, so whatever the color set that's listed here, 120A, it's comparing, you know, sets to the 120A. 90A, it's comparing sets to the 90 set. 48, so it's comparing different sets here to the 48. What's the same, what's different? I just thought that was kind of a neat resource. I didn't know if people, you see here, they've got the skin tone colors. There was a bunch of 30 sets, A, B, C, D. Here they've got the Simp Tap. So if you were wondering which colors were the same between the 48 set is their largest set, and then it talks about what colors are in the 36 set that are the same and different. Although that doesn't, I'm not sure if that makes sense. I would have thought they were comparing, maybe they're comparing in this chart, I think they're comparing both the larger sets to the 24 set. That makes more sense. So this is, again, can be a little confusing. So here's a 24 set. They're saying for the 36 set, these are the colors you get. These are the different ones. For the 48 set, this is the same 24. And then down here, the colors that are different. Yeah. And then they do the same thing here for the acrylic markers they have, like the round and then the dual tip ones. They actually have charts for their alcohol markers comparing both the, what was the Oros and then the Alp colors, the oil pastels that they have. So yeah, I just thought I'd record this little segment just to show you guys that there were these charts available if you want them. They're all free. And maybe it might help you figure out what colors were in what sets of the Arrtx acrylic brush marker sets. Yeah. Hope that was helpful.
Just recording a quick clip here. Probably be one of my coloring odds and ends videos clips. But a couple of people had asked me how I store my Pitt pens and my Staedtler pens. This is how I store them. So I don't have them in a case. I just prefer to have them on my desk because I use them constantly. So they are in the side here. Pin there from one of my nieces. They're in the Spectrum Noir marker trays. And I really like these. I know they're pricey and I know I don't think they're making them anymore.
but they're very modular, right? The trays are individual. You can stack them as high as you want. You'll notice the ones on the top there are actually in an angle. The ones down lower here where I have my Zclean color pens are all in a straight line. You see the back of the trays there, you can see, right? So you can actually put them both ways. So this is how I have my Zclean color and my Staedtler and my Pitt pens. The Pitt pens and the Staedtler pens are a bit too short. And so what I did was, see there? And I think I've shown this before, but just thought I'd re-record it. That's a kitchen sponge, just a cheap kitchen sponge that I cut into little cubes. They're not even glued in there. They're just placed in there. And all of the trays that contain the Pitt pens and the Staedtler pens have those little cubes at the back, just because otherwise the pens would go kind of too deep in there and then it's hard to pull them out. So it just keeps them forward a bit. Now, I know you can get other trays from other companies. Maybe it was at Arrtx that was making trays that actually had like a little plastic thingy in the back where you could adjust the sort of the depth of the slot. I don't know. I'm all about, I mean, it sounds silly because I know I buy a lot of stuff, but if I can figure out a way to do something cheaper without buying something and using what I have around the house, I do like to do that. So yeah, I just cut up a kitchen sponge and, well, a couple of them and put them back there. You also notice on the ends of my Staedtler and my Pitt pens, there are tiny little stickers. You can buy those on Amazon. I think they're 1/4 of an inch, just plain white stickers. I don't have, it's not a brand name or anything. I think I got a package of like 3,600 of them or something. So I have probably more than I will ever need in my lifetime. But I do that because otherwise, I mean, you can see the colored ends, right? The Staedtler pens have colored caps. The Pitt pens do not, but they do have a little bit of color right on the very end of the cap. But by putting the color number on a sticker and then putting it on the end of the cap, it just means that I can very quickly grab exactly the color I want. So that's another little organizational tip. I did the same thing with my Zclean color. I don't have the kitchen sponge cubes in the back of the racks for the clean color pens. I don't need them. But the Zclean color pens are actually in there backwards, right? The Staedtler pens and the Pitt pens are cap out. The Zclean color pens are in their cap in for 2 reasons. Number one, I wasn't sure about the light fastness. Well, it's watercolor, right? So the ink isn't light fast. And I mean, it might be silly, but I thought, well, if I store them this way in the rack, the ink that's in the brush, that's already in the brush part of the tip, is exposed to the light, and I didn't know if it would fade. I mean, I realized the rest of the ink that's in the pen wouldn't fade, but plus too, if you put them in this way, you're faced with an entire rack of clear caps. So by putting them in this way, they do have little colored ends, but once again, I put the color number on one of those little stickers and stuck it on the end there. It does sort of partially cover up the colored end, but it means that I can quickly grab exactly the color I want. So just a little little storage and organizational tip there on storing both the Zclean color pens and the Zig pens, the Staedtler pens and the Faber-Castell Pitt pens. Just a little clip I'm recording here, probably use it for one of my coloring odds and ends videos. This is a page I'm coloring in a Hannah Carlson book, jewelry box, the Dutch edition. And I did spray this page with workable fixative, which means that blending with the Pitt pens and Staedtler pens is much easier on this paper. But this is just a little, I don't know, trick video. So I started coloring this page, and I'm going to go down to kind of this corner here. So I'm making these flowers kind of a combination of these colors. So Faber-Castell Purple Violet 136 Pitt Pen, that's kind of the dark. And then Staedtler Pigment Brush Pen, Light Rosé. And then kind of to blend it all out, a Pitt Pen Pale Pink 114. And you can see where I've done these flowers. I just thought, I don't know, they're okay. But what if, I was thinking, because I did these leaves here, and, you know, I've got the bright edges, and I'm like, well, what if I added, I don't, like something around the edges of the petals to sort of give like a moonlight kind of glow. So I grabbed the Pitt Pen Light Yellow Glaze 104. This is a super useful pen. So I'm just going to scribble it off here, make sure it's not dirty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, see what I'm going to do. Just go around the edges. This is dry. So I colored the petals a little while ago. Just anywhere where I think, you know, light, moonlight would be hitting the edges of these petals, I'm putting a little bit of this light yellow glaze. Can you see the difference it makes? Just going to come in a little bit here if we can. So look at this flower. Nice flower. Now compared to this one, and watch. It just, to me, gives it that little kind of magical, I don't know, magical kind of glow almost. Isn't that neat? I did the same thing with these purple flowers here. Just to finish off at the bottom here. And I'm not being super, you know, careful about where I'm putting this. Notice sometimes I kind of go back over, make it a little bit more, a little brighter yellow. So I'm going to move the book. So you can see, now this I've actually added a little bit of glitter on the edges here too, but this flower down here I have it. So you can see I've done these flowers. I've done those ones, but I haven't done those ones. So once again, light yellow glaze, scribble it off, make sure it's clean, just on the edges, you know, where I think light might be, moonlight might be hitting the petals. That bit here, not in there because that's in shadow, but maybe a little bit there, there, a bit of the bud here. And to me, again, it just gives it that little kind of, you can see it a little bit there. It's just that just hint of yellow over top of whatever color I've you know, colored the petals. In this case it's purple, in the other case it was kind of a pink. And it just gives the edges a little bit of a glow. So if I come back out, so I've done these flowers, I've done these ones. You can see I still have a few flowers left to color here. These ones I haven't done. I did that one, but I haven't done these ones. Not a huge difference, but I like it. So kind of a different, you know, color combination. If you ever want the edges of something to look sort of magical, kind of like they're glowing, particularly if you have a black background like this, you know, maybe there's moonlight coming from somewhere. This light yellow glaze 104, I mean, you could do this with polychromal. You could do this with any light yellow, right? But the glaze, I mean, maybe this is a glazing technique. I have no idea. But I just thought it made the colors really kind of pop. It gave them a little softness to the edges. It just made the flower petals, to me, more interesting. The purple ones, I'm actually going to put some gold. This is a Uniball Signo gold glitter. And I like this because it's a little bit transparent glitter. Like it has a little bit of metallic opacity to the ink. But you know, wherever I've put, I guess I haven't done those flowers yet either, have I? Wherever I've put yellow on the edges, just like I've done on that one there, I'm going to put this, which then, if you look at that flower, now the middles are gold too, that's a different gold. But I don't know if you can see, can we get it? Maybe. Those gold edges glow or shimmer a little bit. So, yeah, just thought I'd record this really quick. Like I say, maybe a tip or a trick segment for a coloring odds and ends video. But yeah, light yellow glaze, just going on the edges there where it was, you know, the lightest. Going right over top, because I went right up to the edges with this, on these pink ones, with this pale pink color. So it's not like I left the edges white. I went right up to the edges with this, blending it out, and then just went over top once they were dry with this one. There you go. Thought I'd stick this picture in there too. This is another example where I used that Light Yellow Glaze 104 Pitt Pen. So I was coloring this snake, and I don't know if you can see, there's one little segment kind of to the right there on that big loop where the scales kind of look whiter, whereas the rest of the snake looks more yellowy green. I had colored the whole snake the way that it looks on the right hand side there with that loop, and just thought, I don't know, it just looks strange. It was a green combination I don't normally use, but I then decided to take that light yellow glaze and just basically, you know, the snake was colored, I'd done all the scales with that green combination, and then I just went over everything with the light yellow glaze, and to me it just gives the snake a more natural look. So yeah, just another example where I use that light yellow glaze. Another little segment here for a coloring odds and ends video. So I was working on a color by number in this lovely new French book that I have, and I had out my swatch cards. Well, some of my swatch cards. I have things swatched in various ways. I do love swatch. But I just thought I would show them to folks in case they were unaware, in case you were unaware, that there is an alternative to the Swatchdex by Sarah Renee Clark. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing any shade on Sarah. She seems like a wonderful person. You know, she's got a business she's trying to run, but particularly for those of us overseas, the Swatchdex can be expensive, and I mean, it looks beautiful, but there is an alternative that you can just make yourself at home. And I got these on Etsy. Now, when I say got these, I downloaded a PDF from Etsy, and I believe the shop was A Tailored Image. I'll put a link in the description below. And they come, hang on one sec. All right, thought it was just easier to show you the PDF. So they come like this. They're set up on A4 paper, but you can adjust, you know, sizing of when you're printing. And basically, you get, I think there's a 49-page PDF, and you can get these pages to print out. So you've got 6 rectangles per card, and you can get them just blank with no lines. You can put, there's ones with little stars underneath. You can mark off light fastness, or you can rate your colors. There's a version with 2 lines underneath, a line and some stars. There's ones that are split into 2, so you can use that center thing as an opacity guide, right? If you just want to go straight over it, or you can put, say it's a wet medium, or a water activated medium, I should say. You can put the dry on one side and wet on the other, and then with stars, with lines, 3 little squares. There's ones you can print off that'll have black, and all kinds of choices. These are ones where instead of having 6 rectangles per card, you've got 8. And again, now you've got 12, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. And then you've got ones like this. Like, she's just got so many, I'm assuming it's a she, so many choices. And then you just cut them out. Now, I'm going to close this and go back to my camera view. Hang on. All right. So you notice, if I had just cut out those cards, those rectangles on the lines that were provided on the page, my swatches wouldn't actually go to the edge like they do here. So I just ignore those lines, and I cut a little bit closer in. Here, I can show you kind of what I mean. This was like a leftover card from when I was doing it. So instead of cutting on these, you know, this outside line, I just cut a little bit further in, and I actually cut the edges of the individual rectangles off just by a bit. So you can see mine end up a little slimmer than, you know, they would. And you can actually see just a little bit of a colored edge right here where I've cut off. I have a paper trimmer, but I mean, you can use scissors too. I've cut off just the edge of where I've colored so that my swatches go right to the edge. And I've also taken, I just have like a single hole punch, it's nothing fancy. I think go to like Walmart or a office supply store, and I punched a hole. And so what that allows me to do, now, I mean, the fact that the swatches go right up to the edge would allow me to do the same thing too. But that means that I can take, you know, something like this. Sorry, I had to sneeze. I can take, you know, a color by number like this, and you've got your color palette along the bottom, and say I'm trying to match up that number 3, that kind of yellowy orange. I can go over top and say, nope, those don't. Maybe mustard. No, it's getting closer, but a little dark. These are my Arrtx pens, by the way. So, yeah, and then I just buy these little binder. I think that's what they're called. They're not clips, they're rings. Binder rings? I think that's what they're called. But they open and close, right? You can get them in different sizes, and then they just snap close. And what that means too is it's really easy for me to take these cards off. You know, if I don't want to be fiddling with them on the ring, I can rearrange them. I can put as many cards on here as I want, right? This happens to be all my Arrtx pens. I've got some other ones here, some Ohuhu metallic pens. I think that's some Arrtx. I've got the Guangna, right? The ones in the big box, 168 set. I think that's the biggest one I have. And I also, because I'm ridiculous and I love swatching, have, I think, most of my colored pencils and most of my other markers swatched out this way as well. So I have this giant binder ring. I have no idea where this came from. I've had this for, I'm going to say since I was a kid. I kept it, weirdly. But I mean, you can buy, like I say, these binder rings. So what I do is I have, you know, the individual sets swatched out. So there's my polychromos, again, done the same way. Now, that same person, a tailored image, I'm pretty sure that's who it is on Etsy. I showed you the blank one, but she also has, or she also has sets you can buy the PDF for specific sets of not all, but some, like she does have, I'm just going to say she because I don't know, polychromos, so you can buy this particular PDF, and then the names and numbers are already on there for you. Arrtx, yeah, that was already available. Don't think Markart. Oh, nope, Markart was. Don't think Lyra was. I think I had to write. Nope, lied. Lyra was. I think Holbein was available. Now, what this person has done too for these sets, you'll notice, you know, the ones that I was showing before where I had done, you know, here, the Arrtx, and then I had written the names and numbers. I filled the card and I just did them in order. This person has actually put these swatch cards kind of in color family. There we go. And so there's your yellows. So the bottom of this card doesn't have anything on it because these were all the yellows. Here are the oranges, here are the reds. These are the Holbein pencils. Kind of earthier reds, kind of more pinky reds. There's kind of the magentas, right? So if you get the sets that this person has created, they've done some of the work for you in putting things in color family order. And then putting the family, these are the neons, putting the families together. There's Luminance. Here's Derwent. I think this is the Lightfast. The Coin Ore. And then I think these are some sets here that some of which I had to do on my own. So this was Neocolor 2s. And again, the Neocolor 2s she had done with 2 squares. So I put the crayon I filled up the entire first square, dragged it across the top of the first square into the second square, but left the bottom as just, here, it's probably easier to see in something down here, like something down here. Left the bottom as just the crayon, not activated. And then I punched a hole directly in the middle of that so I can compare. I mean, I don't know why I would want to use Neocolor 2's not activated, but you could. I can compare activated and non-activated. That was just something I did. And then I've got, what else is in here? There's some Neocolor 1s. Now, I just used one of her blank ones for this because she didn't have a Neocolor 1 set, so I had to write in the names and numbers. I have the Lyra Aquacolor crayons, and so I did the same thing there that she had done with the Neocolors. I have some Posca pastels. But yeah, you can see I've got, you know, this is my pencils. And I can take any of these individual sets off this big ring if I want to be, you know, working with them. I can also take the cards off of each individual little ring. And the reason I put them on this big ring like this is I put you know those 3M hooks that you can buy that are removable, right? There's they come with a little double-sided special tape. I put one of those just down on the side of my desk, just over there. A big one, because this is kind of heavy. And then I hang this on the side of my desk down low. It's out of the way, right? I don't have a lot of room on my desk, so as beautiful as those Swatchdex, you know, trays are, I don't know where I would put them. I just don't have that kind of room on my desk. So this is down, it's out of the way. It's actually out of direct sunlight, so hopefully these aren't going to fade. They might a bit. I do try and keep them kind of, you know, like this, so that they're not fanned open when they're hanging down there, so hopefully that stops some of the fading too. And then I can just grab it when I need it. Same thing here with these are the Pro Marker and Pro Marker Brush alcohol markers. So for these ones, again, I had to do my own because she didn't have a set for these. I chose one that had 3 squares, and then I did, well, it's not super apparent, I don't think. I did 1 coat across the whole thing, 2 coats across the last 2, and a 3rd coat just across the last. So I can see what it looks like. Because, you know, like any other markers, alcohol markers are layerable. If you put more layers down, you're going to get a darker color, darker version of that marker. Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. Here's my pigment pens, Faber-Castell, and the Staedtler. And the few Carine pens I have. That's the Carine. I do have some Lyra Aqua Brush pens. The Zig Art and Graphic. There's the Faber-Castell Gold Faber. She did actually have those. Tombow, I think she had, yep. So I have these on a separate, bigger ring. So I know that these are this is like my marker ring. This is my pencil and sort of crayon ring. And then I had this other ring over here that had my, this was acrylic. Brain failure moment there. These are my acrylic markers. I don't have things like gel pens. I don't have watercolor paint. I could do swatches for those too. I mean, all of this, did this take a ton of time? It did, but I enjoy swatching. And I just printed these out on like a mixed media kind of cardstock. I think it's accent opaque, 60 pound or something like that. So it's half decent paper. You know, you always want to be swatching on the paper that you're going to be coloring on. I realize I'm not always coloring on mixed media paper because I'm in coloring books, but, you know, swatching, let's say, watercolors on really beautiful, awesome watercolor paper is great, but if that's not what you're coloring on, that's not the look you're going to get when you go to use the medium in your books, right? That's why, even though I have these swatches, I usually always do little tests and things like that. But the nice part about these, the paper's thin enough that I can put those hole punches. If you do this on super thick paper, you know, you can't. Well, you might be able to, but it would be a lot harder. But I just wanted to show, like I say, no shade at all on the Swatchdex and what Sarah's doing. I mean, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful product, but if the price tag was out of your range, or you were thinking, you know, like me, I don't have room on my desk for those Swatchdex trays to sit, this is I think a nice alternative. And like I say, I just put one of those hooks on the side of my desk and I can hang these down and out of the way, and they don't take up any room.
All right, another short segment, I think, for an odds and ends video. Strange view, isn't it? This is the underneath of my desk, but I'm showing you this for a reason. So I have one of those, is it called an Arrtx? I think it's called an Arrtx desk from IKEA. So you've got these towers of drawers, and then you've got the desktop that goes on top. And I use the drawers for storage, absolutely. But I was missing like just a really shallow drawer underneath in the middle to store just loose pens and things like that. So I got this. I have to excuse the state of all my cords under my desk and the floor. Isn't that terrible? The floor got worn from, this is where the piano used to be. The piano bench going back and forth on the floor. One day I'll fix that. But underneath, I'm just going to reach here. This is a little drawer thingy that I got from Amazon. And it's on gliders, is that what you call them? And you just sort of screw them in underneath, and then this drawer pulls in and out. You can get this with different depths. This one is really super shallow, but it was all that I wanted. I just wanted someplace, and you can see I actually fit like a fairly good amount of gel pens in there. Some other pens as well. I also got some little, you can see, little storage, I don't know what you call them. They're like little drawer organizer things. Got those from Amazon too. But this drawer is shallow enough that it doesn't interfere, because I actually have that stool down there that's covering up all the cords. When I'm sitting, I often put my feet up on that stool just so they're not, down all the time. And I can put my feet up in the stool, and I don't, that pull-out drawer is shallow enough that it doesn't interfere with me putting my feet up. But yeah, I will put a link to the drawer and the little storage things too, if you want, down in the description below. Just because I thought, a lot of us might have these kind of desk setups from IKEA. And yeah, you might be missing just that little shallow kind of drawer just to put pens and things in, just right in the middle. And you can see when this is closed, you can't even really see it. It's like it's kind of not even there. I did do a couple modifications just in case you get the drawer and you're like, mine doesn't look like Connie's does. This front portion here had, you can see there's like a little divider there. It actually had a divider right about there, and another one right about there. So there was these little small squares and then kind of a medium-sized one. So there was only this kind of one larger one over here, but I really wanted to put pens here. So I actually took a pair of tin snips from my husband's garage, and I cut out the plastic divider. And I was a little scared when I was doing it, because I thought, am I going to wreck this whole drawer? But I actually didn't. So that's why this is just one big, long, open space where I can put all these pens. It's because, I don't know if you can see. You see right there? There's almost like a little, where that divider used to be. I just cut it out. So yeah, I did that. Those trays in the back too that have you can see there's lots of jelly rolls back there. They're actually fairly long. They go to the back of the drawer. That's the one thing I don't like about this drawer is, it only comes out this far. There's a lot of drawer space back there. But these divider things were actually a little bit too long for these pens. So in the back of them, hang on one second. Okay, I took some stuff out of there. So some of these little trays were like the perfect length, but say this tray, if I can get it out of here, hopefully, was actually a bit too long. Oops, and now I've wrecked my system. Obviously my system needs some adjusting. I just put, that's a little stack, like a what do you call it? Post-its in the back. Just, it holds the pens forward. And yeah, there's some wasted space at the back there, but it holds the pens forward. So when I close the drawer, the pens don't all slide back and I can still see them in the front. But obviously I need to fix that. I just stuck that in there with some blue tack on the back. You can see there? So yeah, obviously I need to fix that. But just thought I would show you guys this drawer. I just think it's a neat drawer. And like I say, if you have this kind of, you know, desk system where you don't have that shallow drawer in the middle, this can be a really handy thing to have.
All right, that's it for this edition of Coloring Odds and Ends. This is just something I've just started here. This is the Rita Berman summer book. It's a page that I've wanted to do for a long time. I just thought that the sky wasn't black enough, so I am going over the black just with an Arrtx. This is a black brush, acrylic brush marker. I think I have a pack of like 4 of these and 4 white or something like that, just because I wanted the black to be blacker. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, all that kind of fun stuff. It really does help the channel. I hope everyone is safe, I hope everyone is well, and I hope everyone is enjoying their coloring. Till next time, folks, take care. Bye-bye.